Full ingredient list and methods in caption.
First thing we're going to do is chop up the onion. I only had red onion. I would recommend brown onion for this recipe. Obviously it doesn't really matter because I'm using this one, but chop that up and then we're going to add it to a pan with some oil and soften it. So that's it all chopped up. We're going to stick it on the hob, heat it up, and whilst we're doing this, we're going to chop the garlic. I've minced my garlic. This is a new little contraption, so you mince yours however you have the ability to. Whilst your onion is softening, we're going to prepare all the herbs and spices and your stock mixture with various things. So I've got your alarm stock cube in a measuring jug, and I'm going to add 200 ml of water. We're then adding your tablespoon of tomato puree and 2 tablespoons of your red wine vinegar. Then we're just wanting to stir to dissolve that stock cube. And then into a bowl, we're just going to prepare all your herbs and spices. So that's a teaspoon of sugar, a teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of oregano, a teaspoon of cumin, teaspoon of cinnamon, half teaspoon of smoked paprika, 1/4 teaspoon of cardamom, and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. I'm using my Nutmeg Mill, but if you're using ground, that's fine. Once your onions have softened, I want you to add in your minced garlic cloves and cook that for another couple of minutes. And just fry for a couple of minutes. Once the garlic's been frying for a couple of minutes, get your lamb mince and add that to the pan. And we're going to start breaking it down with a wooden spoon, and then you're going to add your herbs and spices and cook that until it's browned off. Once the mince is browned off, add bay leaf, your stock mixture, the tomato puree and the vinegar, and your passata. Final thing, add your parsley, and then we're just going to give it a mix through, stick it on a medium heat, and we're just going to simmer it. And then I'll stick this on just to avoid some spatters everywhere, and I'll come back and check on it and show you. This is having a wee check at half an hour. Just give it a stir. Coming along nicely, smells nice. And we'll come back in another half. This is us after another half hour. As you can see, we're starting to reduce the liquid. We're going to want to stir quite regularly over the next 10-15 minutes, which is the last amount of cooking time, just to make sure it doesn't stick, but just reduce it just that little bit more. Once the lamb just finishes cooking, I'm going to cut the ends off the aubergine, and then we're going to just cut it into long strips and cook it on the griddle. We're going to want them to be about 1 centimetre thick, like that. So I'm just going to spray the griddle with a little bit of oil and then lay the aubergine in and cook until it's browned on both sides. And when you have hit a total of about 75 minutes, that will be your mince ready. So remove the bay leaf and we'll just continue cooking the aubergine and then slice the potato. Whilst your aubergine is cooking, I have peeled the potatoes. I'm just going to attach that and I'm going to slice mine on the mandolin. And you can see thin slices. If you don't have a mandolin, just slice it as thinly as you can. And that's all your sliced potato. So just immerse that in water so they don't go brown until we are assembling the moussakka. And we're going to want to turn over the aubergine when it looks like that. Nice scorch marks, and you're seeing it starting to soften up as well. Last thing I'm going to do is make the bechamel. So I've got 4 cloves and my butter in here. I'm going to melt the butter, add your flour, which will make your roux, cook it for about a minute over the heat, and then gradually add the milk whilst whisking to create the bechamel sauce. And just a tip, if you find that your bechamel is getting at all lumpy, when we're adding it in, we just pass it through a fine sieve. I tend to like doing that anyway, just to remove the cloves. You can pick them out, but it serves a dual purpose that way. And as we're getting close to this being totally thickened, I actually like to leave it to sit and infuse with the cloves for another wee 10 minutes. Just thicken up more, and then we'll get to assembly. So just like I said, you don't need to do it this way. Glass bowl, sieve. I'm going to sieve my bechamel, and that will do a dual purpose of ensuring it's totally smooth and also removing the cloves as well. So we're getting ready to assemble. We're going to start with the mince, then the potato and aubergine. You can do them two in whatever order you want, and then we'll finish off with the bechamel.
My dish dimensions is about 9.5 inches by 9.5 inches and 4 inches deep.
And that's us. We're going to stick that in an oven that you've preheated to 180. And that is your moussaka after an hour and 15 minutes in the oven. So if you are wanting it to not be slop, leave it to set for a little bit and cool down before serving.